We can take matters into our own hands. My hobby of reef keeping has made me conscious of CO2 emissions and its accumulation on the atmosphere and what effects it has on the environment. The accumulation of CO2s in our atmosphere causes greenhouse gases in our environment, causing a shift on the climate. Hi, my name is Caesar. I'm going to talk to you how can we lower CO2 emissions. I'm going to give you three main points: the buildup of CO2 greenhouse gases, the contributors to CO2, and policies and laws. Greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is the accumulation of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. Now, the greenhouse gases that most scientists are concerned about are CO2s. The reason why CO2s are more concerned to scientists is because, according to Anil Nasawani of the New Science Journal, Volume 205, she states that CO2 gas are long-lasting gas. They can last into the atmosphere for over a century, as opposed to methanes and aerosols. Methanes last in the atmosphere for about a decade, aerosols a couple of days. Contributors to CO2. There are three main contributors to CO2 buildup in our atmosphere. One of them is fossil fuel burning. Now, during the Industrial Revolution of the 1900s in the United States, we have burned a lot of fossil fuels during that time. China and developing countries at the moment are bigger contributors to CO2 emissions because they're going on their own as industrial revolutionizing. Another contributor to CO2 is deforestation. You may ask yourself, why deforestation? Cutting down trees. What happens is that trees feed on CO2s and convert CO2s into oxygen. Now, as you can see from this chart from World Watch Institute, even though it was from 1998, you can see that originally Asia had about 15,000 square kilometers of forests. Now, as a kilometer is about 1.5 miles. As you can see by the darker bar, it has cut down its forest by nearly 2/3 of it. South Africa, Europe, and Russia as well. All of them have cut down their forest. Another contributor to CO2s are transport emissions. Biggest one is the vehicles that we drive, which constitutes 61% of them. Freight and trucks and buses, 18%, rail, 2%, aircraft, 10%, ships, 4%. As you can see, our automotive industry, the cars that we drive every day, constitute of 61%. Now, the cost of reducing CO2 emissions. By developing policies by the United Nations that will be a successor to the Kyoto Protocol that was written in 1997 and is named after where the summit was held in Kyoto, Japan. It expires in 2012. Now, this Kyoto Protocol, it involved about 80 countries in reducing CO2 emissions. Now that it had expired, he opened his vineyard to another summit that was held by the United Nations, Framework Convention on Climate Control, or UNFCCC. Now, the Copenhagen summit was a failed one. The reason why I say it was failed is because, according to William D. Northwani of American Institute Journal, said that even though it didn't set out to do what it was meant to do, the summit, that over 100 countries joined, the only thing that was able to accomplish was that they all agreed that the climate cannot go higher than 2 degrees. We cannot get the atmosphere to increase its climate by 2 degrees. Now, President Obama had actually gave incentives to developing countries of 80 billion by the 2017 and 100 billion by 2020 to try to lower their CO2 emissions by providing cleaner energy, stop deforestation, and other means. Now, it was a failed summit because they couldn't agree to what it was set out to agree upon. In conclusion, we can take matters into our own hands. The buildup of long-lasting greenhouse gases, such as CO2 caused by global warming, can be reduced by reducing one of the greatest contributors of CO2, which is our cars. We don't have to wait until policymakers and government implement carbon monoxide taxes or cap and trade policies. After several failed policies, we can take matters into our own hands. We don't have to go through the drastic changes or extravagant things to lower the amounts of CO2 buildups. All I'm asking is that we could do one simple thing, is we park our cars one day out of the week and we take public transportation. As we saw in the pie chart, our cars constitute to 61% of CO2 emissions. So we don't have to wait for government to tell us what we should do for our own good, but what we can do for ourselves.